Welcome back to Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark. And I'm joined by nobody because it's another 5-minute review. In today's review, we're going to be talking about the recently released in theaters monster flick, Godzilla Minus One. It's directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who is a Japanese filmmaker. He's got a bunch of stuff to his credit, but mostly overseas. And it's written by him as well. And it stars a bunch of Japanese actors. And I'm not going to butcher their names. So there's that. But yeah, so this the film takes place prior. It's really an origin story of sorts for Godzilla. It takes place right after the Americans bomb Japan with nuclear weapons, and you see the direct aftermath of that. And it centers around the character of Koichi, who is a disgraced kamikaze pilot. And so I really like this movie because it's very grounded. I mean, it's got its spectacular action sequences, and Godzilla looks great here. It takes the design of the original Godzilla monster, you know, the 50s and 60s man in a rubber suit, you know, destroying cardboard buildings. But I mean, he looks great here, and the VFX is awesome. This film was made for $15 million. It had a $15 million budget, and that's how I know that Hollywood is kind of just eating money. Is that if this movie had a similar budget in Hollywood, or not similar, similar budget in Hollywood, it doesn't look anything like this, right? It looks cheaply made and all this, but this $15 million, I guess, in Japan goes a whole lot further than it does here in America. But the story is grounded in this disgraced kamikaze pilot, and the entire film he is feeling like he's carrying this burden with him, and I'm not going to get into any spoilers, even though if I told you why he's carrying this burden around, it wouldn't really be a spoiler. But, you know, he had an opportunity to save or try to save some people early on in the film, and he failed to do so. And so he feels that he disgraced his country, his honor, and then the people that were counting on him. And he's carrying this throughout the entire film. And he meets in the aftermath of the bombs being dropped in Japan. He meets a young woman, and she has an infant child with her, and it's not hers. It was somebody's. A dying mother gave her the baby and told her, "Hey, please look after my child." And so she has this duty to look after this child. So they all kind of they start living together. And I'm not gonna pretend to know any Japanese culture, right? But you can tell that this man and this woman really care for each other, almost to the point of, like, people think they're husband and wife, child is theirs, but you know, he's got this blockade of emotion that he can't really dive into, trying to be a father or a husband. And it's just this movie's awesome. There's scenes in here that are directly, it looked like they were directly inspired by Spielberg, especially the first two action sequences, one involving Jurassic Park type, and the other involving a Jaws type scene. And I thought that was really cool. This has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.4 rating on IMDb. This movie's good, y'all. I highly recommend it. Go see it. It's a period piece through and through. It's culturally relevant. It's I feel like it gets all the little things right, And so, one of the best films I've seen this year. And, I mean, full stop. I mean, probably top 5 for me. So, anyways, hit the subscribe button when it pops up so you don't miss any future content here on the podcast. And if you want to follow the podcast on any of your favorite social media platforms, we're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube, doing big things everywhere. And don't forget that the podcast releases weekly every Thursday on your favorite podcast streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. And we'll catch you on next time.